Hi, this is Michael Chu. I wanted to talk about a fairly serious topic today, AB 832, Assembly Bill 832, and its impact on buy and hold investors, commonly known as landlords, and what and when can you do at a certain time. So, the whole objective, or actually the whole discussion, is surrounding what is your objective. So the background is intro of AB 832. It really confused all the players in the rental investment, tenant relations, and court and legal professionals. It was meant to be a great thing for all Californians, but the execution and practicality is far from ideal. Since many investor landlords have been frustrated with the non-payment and also cannot evict situation, many are contemplating selling at the market high. But that is also not allowed under current moratorium. Most investors thought to own a few cash-flowing properties and look forward to a comfortable retired life, and they're now concerned that the negative cash flow is eating into the retirement resources. So, California Association of Realtors held a Zoom meeting last week to explain, and even with many great points, left many investors with implementation questions. So let me show you a little bit of these. This is the Governor Newsom's basically text in explaining what the intended effect is. So you can see basically stating that signed legislature to extend the state's eviction moratorium through September and any hardship due to the pandemics. And under AB 832, California will significantly increase cash assistance to low-income tenants and small landlords under the state's $5.2 billion relief program. So this is the good news. And the bad news is when you actually look at the text, this is the actual text for 832. And I'm not sure, if you're not a legal person, how to make sense of this. This is just a very large amount of text to go through and actually comprehending all the legalese the way it's spelling it out. So needless to say, I mean, this goes on and on for I think if you were to print it out, it's probably 15, 20, 30 pages long. So there's no way a layman actually could make sense of it. So, of course, it has a lot of problems with, let me stop here for a little bit. And I want to show you another one, which is, this is what I actually gathered during the course of that explanation in a 1-hour course of discussion. So many investors chimed in with their questions, and they're just ranging from all over the place. But just to show you the extent of confusion and concerns that the investors have. So jumping back, so most of the folks, when they're listening to the podcast, they were concerned about a few things. One is putting the property out for sale to capture the top of market price. So in a short answer, this is no, you cannot do that. And the second thing many people are concerned about is get the current non-paying tenant out and get better tenant in. And this also, by the way, is no, you cannot do that. And the third thing is getting fully paid for lost rent And under AB 832, yes, this is actually the biggest benefit that the bill provides. So this actually, we'll go through some timeline and take a look at that. Also for the tired landlord, if you want to get out the rental market completely, meaning you're selling off everything and not being a landlord anymore, this is also okay under certain stipulations. So we'll go through that and take a little bit better look at it. So here's some time frames that we're looking at. We're of course in the middle of July right here, and the extension actually is covering retroactively, but up through September 30th. And then supposedly, if, and a big if, is that if there's no more extension, we will be back to normal after October 1st. So let's go through some of the key things in here. The bill provides that investor can get full rent by applying at housing.ca.gov along with the tenant's app. So you're not allowed to evict tenant if tenant has COVID-related situation filed and they're missing rent currently. So what that means is if they had a reason related to COVID, then your best course of action is to work with the tenant so that you're applying for the California assistance jointly, and that way both the tenant and you as a landlord would be compensated fully. Now the stipulation in the AB 832 is a good one in that it goes backwards. So in other words, if you apply in this time frame, and I didn't put the time frame backwards, but supposedly you can be fully reimbursed from April of 2020 and onto the current point, as well as you can also apply for the prepayment into September 30th. So basically this entire period can be covered for full rent, and that is the biggest attraction for the bill. So the other thing, of course, that we mentioned is you cannot evict the current tenant just because they're short on rent, they're only paying a certain percentage, or they're not paying at all, into evicting them and finding better tenant. The bill is meant to protect the tenant. So these two things are the current implementation that you should be aware of and working towards. And so the third one is investor cannot evict without just cause. And this part is sticky because you will have to consult with your legal professions on what just cause is. And also, just by saying I want to sell home, it's not a good reason. So eviction is not allowed with that. And just cause actually is there. I heard there are 6 of them, but it's hard to prove in the court. So one of the final maybe escape for landlord is that if you're really, really tired of this market and all the missed rents and concerns about financial future and how it impacts you, and you want to just completely get out and invest in something else other than housing, other than rental, there is this Ellis Act that you can use to completely get out. But I believe you have to pull out, if it's a multi-unit, you have to basically sell the whole unit and evict everyone, not just 1 or 2 that you don't like. So this is the last stop, and you can use this law to your advantage, but there are stipulations and there are also ramifications. So within 2 years, for instance, you cannot re-engage in rental activity and there are also penalty up to 5 years after that. But the details you will have to discuss with your lawyer. And of course, the final point is, if the moratorium in AB 832 type legislation is not getting extended, this is where we stand. On September 30th, everything should revert back to normal, and you can continue with the normal eviction process, serving the tenant properly, and property can be sold as you wish after that point. Okay, so what are the takeaways? I think it was a long process in deriving to this, but takeaway really is this. Even in this hard time, we as landlord still treat tenants nicely, and without their cooperation, you will be either missing rent or not able to collect on government assistance. You could completely get out of the rental business by using Ellis Act, but notice period is very long, and also you need to compensate the tenant before moving them out, and there are stiff penalties to restart rental within 2 years. Also, if you can prove eviction is not related to COVID non-payment issues, it can still be done, but just to know that it is a hard thing to do. And we don't know if the moratorium will be extended further, but if it does, investors will need to decide which pain is the lesser of all of these multitudes of pain. So the final point, of course, is California state protects tenants. So if your place is vacant and you're thinking about getting new tenants in, please do your due diligence in screening applicants so you're not in this situation in the near future. To apply for benefits, there is a key website. They call it Housing is Key website, but actually the URL is housing.ca.gov. I hope this information that I was providing to you is a little bit less confusing compared to the language that was up on the text of AB 832 itself. And of course, all the details you will have to verify with your attorney and act very, very carefully in this day and age. So if you want to contact me, my contact information is here, michael.chu@exprealty, and or 408-431-83668. Reach out to me for any comments or questions, and I hope to be resources to you. And so please like or comment or subscribe, and I will talk to you sometime soon.